The following program contains graphic descriptions of events including crime scenes of actual murders. Parental discretion is advised. In July of 1989, Catherine Corkery's father received a phone call. It was after midnight. "It's about Catherine," the caller said. "She's been murdered." The caller continued to tell him that she had been beat, choked, stabbed, sexually assaulted, wrapped in a blanket, and then set on fire. Catherine was found just a few blocks from her house. She was on her way home from a party. At the scene, detectives scoured the trash bins and underneath porches for clues. Every house within blocks was searched. They also interviewed around 200 people that night and the next day. Even Pittsburgh Crime Stoppers put up a $2,000 reward for any leads. She lived in DORMONT, Pennsylvania. It's a southern Pittsburgh suburb. At that time, DORMONT had about 9,800 residents. The residents say that it is a friendly town, and no one really goes there unless they know someone. Not a real busy town, they say. She worked as a bookkeeper and lived with her boyfriend. She planned on taking night classes to get her degree in social work. The lead detective on the case was quoted as saying, "It's the sickest one, the most heinous homicide I've ever seen." At 7:15 the next morning, a gentleman who lived on Vocal Avenue was taking out his trash. He noticed something under his cherry tree, just off his walkway. It was Catherine. He noticed the only thing she was wearing were her earrings. He immediately called the police. Shortly after, the coroner showed up. It took the coroner's office around 16 hours to identify Catherine. They finally did so through dental records. Her father at the time lived in nearby Carnegie. When they were taking Catherine into the cemetery, the parkway had been closed down for that reason. He was quoted as saying, "There are so many cars. Just to be that young and dead." After a long day of work at Penn Parking Systems, Catherine met a girlfriend at a local bar in Mount Lebanon. After a few drinks, the girls decided to meet their boyfriends at a house party just a few blocks away on Academy Avenue. Somewhere around 40 people were at the party. A lot of them remember seeing the 5' 1" 100-pound girl. They described her as athletic. She was there until around 2 a.m. No one police questioned saw her leave. Her and her boyfriend lived on Ordnance Avenue. A lot of people walking there from Academy would walk the T-tracks as a shortcut. That is how the authorities believe she walked home. The sky was clear and 78 degrees that night. No trolleys ran that late. A perfect night for walking. One person, however, was convinced she did not walk home alone. That was her father. Authorities believe she was grabbed on the tracks, had a rope twisted around her neck like a human leash, and then drug along the tracks. It was when her head hit the tracks, it had split open. She was then sexually assaulted and strangled. The assailant then found a nearby house, opened the back gate, and dropped her under a cherry tree. It was there he stabbed her. The coroner revealed she was dead before he had set her on fire. To this day, no one knows where the gasoline came from that was used to set it. There were only a few eyewitness reports, one of a taller man and a shorter lady walking the tracks at that time of night, and a couple of reports of a flash around 3:30 a.m., possibly when the fire was set. Her boyfriend, who was a painter, was questioned the next day. He said the night before he had left the party before she did because he had a job early the next morning. Police had cleared him. Before the police questioned her boyfriend, earlier in that day, around the time of the evening news, he saw the horrific story of a girl in his neighborhood that was murdered. He was frightened because Catherine still had not made it home. He immediately called the police. My questions are, could they be missing someone from the party? Maybe someone no one really knew. But they blended in so well at the party. No one questioned who they were. Could this be possible? Speculations about this crime surfaced quickly on the internet in as early as 2005. This had to have been the work of someone who was done this before. This was a signature type killing. Also, rumors of a cult. The facts are, the FBI came up with a profile on the assailant, and the agency actually received some hits from it. One case of a woman in a nearby township found in a drainage ditch, and another one from out of state. There were only a few suspects at the time, and sadly, to this day, no one has ever been charged. At the house party, just before Catherine left, she had told her boyfriend that she was leaving and walking home. He then told her he didn't think that was a good idea. It was believed that she convinced him she would get a ride with someone, but no one knows who with. The online theories continue even today. There has been one man named several times on online chat boards, a serial killer named Glenn Edward Rogers. Talk of a drifter, and even someone she knew. The Dormont police chief at that time retired in 2009. He said his biggest regret was the department's inability to make an arrest in this homicide case.